Hi everyone, welcome, good evening. We are starting the David Douglas School District Board meeting today, Thursday, June 12th at 7:05 here at the David Douglas School Boardroom. Welcome. We're going to start today with our Native American land acknowledgement. Today we want to begin our meeting by acknowledging that we gather as David Douglas School District on the traditional land of the Multnomah, Wasco, Cowlitz, Clackamas, Band of Chinook, Tualatin, Kalapuya, Molalla, and many other tribes, past and present, who have made their homes along the Columbia and Willamette rivers, and honoring with gratitude the land itself and the people who have stewarded it throughout the generations. We further want to, again, acknowledge the impact of forced removal, violence, and attempt erasure of the lives and legacies of Indigenous people, past and present, and to commit to creating an educational environment that honors Indigenous history and contributions and encourages the continual pursuit of better stewardship of the land we inhabit as well. We're going to start off our meeting, the second agenda in our meeting is hearing from Eco Champions, the David Douglas High School Recycling Initiative. Hi.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello, my name is Kiara Gonzalez. I just graduated from David Douglas High School. Thank you. I was the former ASB Vice President of Community Engagement, which oversees the entire Presidential Council. And yeah, that's me.
I'm Talia Reese Gomez, and I'm next year's VP of Community Engagement, and I'm a rising junior.
So we're here to present the Metro Grant, specifically the Eco Champions David Douglas High School initiative, which we took part of and which was overseen by the David Douglas High School Presidential Council. If you look in the photo, that's a picture of one of our recycling bins on campus currently, and there's a Celsius on there. So, yeah.
So this is our Campus Life and Rec team that oversees our Presidential Council. This team put a lot of work and effort to get these recycling bins. I would like to acknowledge every single one of those members. And yeah, I'm really thankful that we have them to better our school.
So just for our general timeline on how we got the concerns of not having recycling bins on campus brought to us, and when we got recycling bins, this is a little timeline. So in 2023, students took a climate and culture survey where they were able to voice any concerns or comments they had with our current school culture and climate. And one of the biggest concerns was that we weren't being productive enough when it came to recycling, or how we were putting our time and energy into making our school more eco-friendly. So the second point is that student representatives from the Presidential Council, which are composed of club leaders on campus, they prepared to voice student concerns on recycling at our school for the Presidential Council. Then, around 2024-ish, Presidential Council discussed possible solutions for the student concerns from the survey, one being applying for the Metro Grant and getting recycling bins on campus. So, Campus Life and Rec, which Talia mentioned earlier, applied for the $3,600 grant. We wrote a bunch of essays, applied for it for our entire school, and we got it. So, we now have recycling bins at our school in 2025, and we also collaborated with our National Honor Society for some of the biggest concerns that came with having recycling bins on campus that we'll touch on later.
So this is a student quote that we got from our climate and culture survey. Currently, there are vending machines all over the school, but what happens to the bottles that people buy? Due to the lack of recycling bins around the school, those bottles end up on the trash. So this is an example of the awareness that students have that we need recycling bins at our school and the importance of it.
So a little bit more information on the David Douglas High School National Honor Society collaboration and also who gave us our grant. So when it comes to the National Honor Society, our biggest concerns with the recycling bins were that we were going to get fined for every recycling bin with non-recyclables inside. So we collaborated with National Honor Society, who had already been doing campus cleanups all around the school. So National Honor Society now, they collect cans to the recycling bins when they do campus cleanups, but they also take out any trash they see at the times that are non-recyclables. So while they're fundraising for their club and earning money to do events for their own club and also to continue to give back to our school and community by collecting cans, they're also taking out the trash so we don't get fined for anything that's non-recyclable in the recycling bins. And this allows us to keep our recycling bins at our school. And then more info on who gave us our money. It was through Oregon Metro in partnership with Elevate Oregon. And luckily, David Douglas School District were in the grant boundaries, which allowed us to apply for the grant. And basically, this grant just wanted to see a more cleaner and cleaner Portland in that specific grant area. And so we were able to meet those requirements.
So these are a few of the flyers and posters that the Campus Life and Rec team made for the students at David Douglas High School, since many of the students don't understand what's recyclable, what's not. So we made a few posters to just let them know, like, hey, like, this is what you can recycle and this is what you can't.
We also made a video posted on our Instagram that got a few thousand views. So many students watched this video just to learn about the new recycling bins and what not to and to recycle. So if you want to watch that real quick. Oh. It's worth it, guys. It's a good video.
Hey Scott, we just got new recycling bins on campus. Let's use them right. Recycling is very easy and it helps us keep our planet clean. You can recycle anything from bottles, boxes, but make sure if it has touched food, don't recycle it like our lunch trays. Thank you. We're here with
Victoria Ward, Mrs. Ward.
and what's your opinion on the new recycling bins?
I like that it is easy to use because used recycling can go in there, paper products, drink containers. So, yeah, no reason not to recycle your items.
Thank you, Ms. Ward.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So that was just one of the short videos we posted on our Instagram for students on social media to see their recycling bins. And yeah.
And if you guys have any questions or comments for us, yeah.
And thank you so much.
Thank you all so much for making this happen. You know, it seems like it's something that we would have already. So I'm glad that the students voiced their concerns and that you all came together to figure out a solution. Really commendable and great effort by everyone.
I can't say it any better than that. Just so proud of your work, your leadership, all through Presidential Council, all of the decisions you made as you kind of navigated this process and many others. There's also, I can tell you, this group is very proud of our seniors, and I'm wondering if I could put you on the spot and if you'd be willing to. Obviously, I've had the opportunity to hear about where you're going to school and scholarships, and if you'd be willing to, you can tell me no too, but if you'd be willing to share, I know this team would really be honored to hear about your plans.
Yes. I'm going to be going to Yale University in the fall, and I will be under the Jack Kent Cook Scholarship, so I'm on a full ride.
Huge congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And I'll also say, I know you had a part in establishing Presidential Council, and we've already seen one of the projects. I know they're working on other things. So you get to leave school knowing that Presidential Council will continue to do things like this that will last forever. So sometimes you do things in high school that seem like a little thing, but they, over time, are huge. So congratulations also on Student Leader of the Year. Well earned.
Thank you so, so much. But yeah, Talia will be taking over, so she will continue to do great, great things.
I was going to say, we're
Yeah.
very excited to have you.
Yes.
Yeah, really excited. Know you're going to do great.
Thank you. Thea, Juan, I don't know if you all have any questions online. If not, thank you both so very much for being here. Don't see anything. Yeah. So we are going to hear more from the public with our public comment. And we have first up Dennis Seacrest. I'll just remind that folks have 3 minutes and to please turn on the microphone and state your name for the record. And yeah, thank you.
Is that part of the 3 minutes? My name is Dennis Seacrest. My last name is spelled Secrist. I'm here tonight to express my disappointment in the school district with the administration and the school board. While I love the kids and the teachers and the parents I've met during the last 10 years that I've had my kids in this school district, I'm sad that how undervalued education seems to be in this district that I love. Are my kids seen? Are my kids heard? Do they feel connected? Yes, to all three. But do any of those things ensure they receive a quality education? And no, I don't think so. And no is a word I hear a lot in this district. I was told no when I asked for my kids to be tag tested. When my daughter was bored in 6th grade math and we asked for her to be bumped up to 8th grade math or integrated or something that would challenge her, we were told no as well. At a meeting with the principal and the lead teacher about this subject, for the lead teacher adopting iReady to talk about this subject, we were assured that it would scale up for her, that the math difficulty would scale up for her, that she wouldn't be stunted in her learning. And did that turn out to be true? No. When I wanted my son to take 6th grade math while in 5th grade, no. When my daughter was forecasting for this high school this year and didn't want to take 2 PE classes her freshman year because it fit, according to the counselor, better for her schedule, she was told no, she has to take 2 PE classes. When I asked if she could graduate early, I was told no, not in this district. Why is no the district's first response to seemingly every question that I ask? After a gun was found at Ron Russell and then a knife in a math classroom, a community meeting was held on February 24th. We discussed new strategies for safety because, safety is our #1 priority here. A lot of good ideas were shared and next steps were promised. Flash forward to April 21st, and I haven't heard a word. I asked the acting principal if he knows what those next steps are. He says no. I emailed him 2 more times in 10 days, hoping to get an answer. You know what happened in the interim? Another knife was found in the same classroom. That was May 1st, almost 3 whole months later. When I asked about cameras in response to these incidents in the classrooms, I was told no. When I was asked about posting the handle on Parent Square, asking the community for help identifying it, I was initially told no. Finally, May 19th, the results from the safety meeting came in. Was I impressed by the actions they are and in the future taking? No, it just seems all like lip service, copy and paste, the same thing over and over again. I wonder what it'll take for you guys to do something. Someone actually getting hurt, possibly. So disappointment is the kindest word I can think of. While I appreciate all the hard work done in this district and know this might not be everyone's experience, this district feels like a prison at times. You do your time, 12 years, no more, because you can't be held back if you can't read or write. And no less, because you don't want kids to graduate early. Instead of seen, heard, connected, I think it should be educate, care, and challenge. Educate our kids so it's not a race to the bottom. Care for our kids and actually keep them safe and challenge them. Meet them where they are, whether they're at grade level, below, or above. Expect more from our kids. Now, I'm really invested in public education. I am. But it seems like you guys are just proving that school choice is a better option, and I don't believe that. But in closing, you have taught my children something very valuable that I didn't think of. That school is nothing like a job. You don't get a promotion or a raise for doing the absolute least amount of work required, like you can here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Aaron Barrow. Hi. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Chair Saladona Lopez. I appreciate it. I'll try to keep this under 3 minutes. So I don't know if you all knew this. Floyd Light Middle School had a shooting right on the edge of the property during track meet a couple months back. It was kind of scary. My kids were there. But I'm not here to talk about that. I think the school did an excellent job with the limited communication they were getting from the police department. They brought all the kids into the gym, did some sheltering in place, kept everyone safe. But what I'm talking about is the next day I was walking back from the community center along this little cement path that goes next to the track. The entire 8th grade was out on the field for recess. The 7th grade was up doing PE. And this guy goes barreling straight through the middle of the football field, kind of like around the kids on a cell phone. Mrs. G, who's, you know, if you ever met Mrs. G, she's tough as nails, tried to talk to him and say, hey, go around. And he just shoved past her. And then a few minutes later, guess who walked across the field in the other direction? And this time, did the same thing to Mr. Pease. And I've talked to other community residents who are really don't have any firm sense of when they can and can't enter the football field and the grounds. Think of it as a greenway, so they just kind of walk onto the field at any time. And so what I'm here to say is I think we should have signs. Cherry Park has signs on the edge of the campus that says, hey, when school is up and running, it says something like that. It's got graffiti all over it. I believe Ventura just got signs, but Mrs. Smith could speak to that. Jackson Middle School just printed out these giant plastic signs, with the metal spikes, like for a campaign, and they just stick them at the edge of the campus. And it's kind of nice because it costs almost nothing. They can move them around if they're in a spot that's not working. And I would just love to see that. I'd love to have the staff be like, hey, didn't you see the sign, that says don't walk across the middle of the field when children are present, it just felt very disrespectful. And I'd like to see the staff treated better. And also, who knows? That could have been like a YouTuber or something trying to blow up the scene the day after a shooting, And anyway, it boggles the mind. But just signs. I think signs would be an inexpensive option. Now, of course, fences, we've talked about this over the years, would be a better option. But I know that that's a really challenging one. But signs, no big deal. So anyway, I just want to advocate for signs. And thank you again for everything that you do. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And next, hear from our DDA president, Stephanie. Come on up.
Good evening. For the last time, I will say I am Stephanie Murray, the very proud president of the David Douglas Education Association. Today was the last day of school, and I'm sure all of our students are rejoicing somewhere else. This afternoon, our staff was busy doing report cards and closing out their classrooms for the summer. But as we look to next year, we remain concerned about the less than adequate funding from the state that is causing cuts to our district budget and staff reductions that will have a negative impact on all of us next year. Thank you to everyone who has put pressure on our elected officials to fund schools at the 12+ billion level that we actually need. We may not see that, and we cannot stay silent about the negative effects of underfunding that underfunding has on our schools. I couldn't leave without saying that. And I know that many of you have advocated at the state level, and we appreciate that very much. We continue to be disappointed. At the end of this month, I will wrap up my 4 years as president and pass the baton on to Alice Eberharder. And I know that she will do a great job sitting in this seat and representing our members. The past 4 years have been quite a roller coaster ride. We started with a video introduction I don't know if any of you remember that. Stephanie, you might. I think you're the only one here that was here at that time, because we were coming out of COVID and meetings were not yet in person. And then we started filling this room with staff to tell their stories and help you understand what was happening out in our schools and sites. And this was received with thoughtful consideration and respect, and I want to thank you for that, as I know that that does not happen everywhere. Through the years, I have appreciated your willingness to listen, to talk through issues and concerns with me, the addition of this report to the agenda, and the dedication to our students and community that I've seen in this board. Our open bargaining process was long and hard. Last year, you were sitting in a bargaining session on your birthday, Mr. Long. But I'm really proud of the work that we did together. That work was recognized by OEA at the OEA Representative Assembly with a presidential citation. We're very proud of that. Although we do not always see things from the same perspective or agree on what should happen, this board has been open to listening and processing. As I move back into the classroom, teaching 5th grade at Cherry Park in the fall, I encourage you to continue listening to and collaborating with our union leaders. Visit our schools and sites. Celebrate the great things that are happening across our district and work together to address the concerns. Together, we can all work to make sure that David Douglas is a great place to learn and work. I will see you next year from the audience, but I won't be here till the end anymore. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, President Myrie, for your dedication and service to our district and to your members. I know that it cannot be said enough, but thank you for your hard work and dedication. Is Darla here, or a representative from OSEA to do their comment? No, I don't see. Well, hopefully they can join us next time. And I think, Ken, you have something, another recognition, yeah.
Thank you very much, Board Chair. So we have a very special award and an opportunity to say thank you and share some gratitude tonight. And we have one of our board members I'd like to recognize up front first. We have 2 board members with us virtually tonight, but one of them, Hua Nguyen's here, and I want to take some time to thank Hua, because this is her last board meeting. She chose not to run as a board member for the next term, and her dedication and commitment over the years, her leadership, her passion, and there she is. She unmuted for us. So hi, Hua, it's so nice to see you. Has meant the world. Her guidance, her friendship, she's always one, as Stephanie kind of talked about the whole board, but Hua's modeled listening and modeled giving back and modeled service in every meeting I've ever had an opportunity and privilege to be in with her. And we typically give out awards in my superintendent's report or at the end of the meeting, but because Hua's virtually, sometimes you know how the gremlins in virtual meetings disappear and people drop off and can't log back on. So we thought we'd take the opportunity to share this recognition with Hua now at the beginning of the meeting rather than the end, and go from there. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to read, we have a plaque for Hua. I'd like to read it, and then I'd like to open up the floor if there's any board members who'd like to say anything as well. And then, of course, Hua, if you'd like to say anything. So with that said, the Board of Directors joins the students, staff, and patrons of David Douglas School District in expressing our gratitude to Hua Nguyen for 4 years of outstanding service to the community as a member of the David Douglas School Board, 2021 through 2025. Again, thank you so much for your service, Hua. I'd like to just...
And I'll still be around. I'm still in the neighborhood. Right now, my priority is my health, and so just trying to go through focusing on my health and really getting better each day. So that's my priority. But I'll still be around. I'll still attend the events and be supportive. And I'm still your state representative, and in that capacity. And so I'll still be around. So come and lobby me at the Capitol, and let's talk about the school budget. So I think that's the capacity that I will be serving for David Douglas. So But thank you for everything, for all your support. I got the care package from OSEA that was really thoughtful and helpful, and I just appreciate everyone's support while I battle this chronic while I battle cancer, and so I appreciate everyone's support, the community support that has grown, and that's what's pushed me through. So my prayer is to focus on my health right now, and I just appreciate it. It's been an honor to serve alongside all of you, and I've learned a lot, I've learned a ton, and it made me a better state representative, but also being a state representative made me a better school board member, and so that was a really, really, it was a lot, but it was a good experience. I've learned a ton about policy and budgets, and so I hope to continue to get back, to give back in that way.
I'm like, where to start? Well, I know you're virtual. Hopefully we can see you in person, or at least for me to see you in person soon. But I mean, I have no words to say how thankful I am for your dedication, your work on this board. When I started, you were a really big support and like guidance for me, and I really can't say enough how thankful I am for everything that you've, like your knowledge, your experiences, everything that you've done for our students, our community. It really means a lot in that you always prioritize service and are so dedicated. And, I can't wait to keep working with you as a state rep. And we're here for you.
Thank you.
Hi, Hua. I'm trying to see you, but it's kind of funny to look back. Thank you so much for all of your service and all your friendship. I love that I get to know you and in and out of the board. And I'm just so grateful for everything you've taught me and the way you show up in the community. Always eager to hear from everyone and to listen and to learn. And I just think you set such a great example for the rest of us. And I'm just so grateful. And I just love you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hua. I know I've told you a million times, but I've always been so impressed with your work ethic, how you can handle doing all these things at once. But for me, the thing that was always most important is how I could always go to you with a question and you'd always give me a really honest answer, whether or not it was easy to hear. And it's sometimes when you're trying to do a million things, people give you what you want to hear. So it's so appreciated to have someone that was just honest with you. And you were always like that. So thank you, and I hope to keep walking turfs with you and doing things outside of the school board. So.
Hey, Hua. Steph here. I have been friends with you a long time and served with you. We have walked many a campaign, knocked on many a door. You were so helpful in the school bond work. And in the process of learning so much about you and meeting your family and hearing about your past, one of the things people may not know about you is that you have been a big time weightlifter in your life. Like you actually, those free weights, that was you, like big, huge muscles. And I will never forget that, because that is totally how you are. You have this strength and these broad shoulders, and you carry whole communities on them. And I just love your strength. I give you mine as you're going through this time, and I can't wait to see you in person soon. Thank you for all you've done.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Oh, Althea, please, Althea, yes.
Yeah, I'm hoping I can get in here. Hua, just adding to everyone else, you have been such a model of leadership in our community. I can easily say that I can't really imagine myself on school board if I hadn't seen you already moving and shaking in the neighborhood. So thank you for that. And I know that I'm not alone. I've heard countless stories of how you inspire folks. So thank you for all that you continue to do.
Thank you.
So Hua, I mean, ultimately, just thank you for your service, and I can tell you how much I look forward to working with you in the future, knowing that you're a state rep, knowing that you're serving our community, but there's a little piece of your heart that's also David Douglas and will always be David Douglas. It warms my heart, and knowing that you're down there, Salem, doing that good work for us and for the entire community, making a difference. So although you're no longer going to serve on the board, which I guess I'll give you a pass on. I'm so thankful. Obviously, I'm joking. I'm so thankful that you're a state rep and we get the privilege of working with you and watching you shine and doing great things for our community. So thank you so much. And although it's your last board meeting, I know we'll definitely stay in touch as we do the good work together. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate all the comments, and yeah, I'm going to push through and fight this cancer. So that's my goal, and still continue serving as your state rep. So a lot on my plate this time. So, but thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm like, how do we go on from there? But we have to, and actually, we'll have to take a brief recess in order to conduct a public hearing. To All right, hearing none, going on to vote. We'll start with Althea online and then Hua online, and then we'll go in person. So Althea.
Ender, aye.
When I
Stevens.
Stevens, aye.
Gamera Jerson, aye.
Franklin, aye.
And Saldaña Lopez, aye. It has been moved. We have a budget for next school year. Thank you, everyone. Well, we are moving through the agenda fast. Thanks, everyone. Hopefully we can leave early or end a little earlier. So now we want to hear, we invited some folks to do some invited public input, folks from Alice Sott to talk about Pride Month, and then folks from Ventura Park to talk about Juneteenth. Hi. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. Happy Pride and happy last day of school. I can't decide which is more important to me at the moment. But I wore my Pride shirt just in case. So I wanted to share with everybody the slideshow that our equity team at Alice Sott created and shared with the district. So Pride Month at DDSD, it's only been a few years since the district has been recognizing Pride Month. And I want to just introduce myself. I'm Andy DuPont. I've been teaching sixth grade. When I first started at Ron Russell Middle School in 2006, I worked with about a half dozen LGBT staff members, and none of us were out in front of our students. And if I can take you back to that time in Oregon, there were teachers that were being fired. There was a trans teacher who was the teacher of the year, who was fired. There was a student teacher in Beaverton who was let go because they told a fourth grader about his partner. All of these things were the context of working in David Douglas. And I don't remember for the first probably 10 to 15 years of my career that leadership even mentioned LGBT and Pride Month. So this has been a big change in our district. It's been a really positive change. When the district adopted the Every Student Belongs policy, and it had actual language that protected students and staff and visitors to our school district, protecting everyone against specific harassment, that made a big deal. I started coming out to my students on the first day of school a number of years ago, and I was so nervous to do that. But what I found out was that my nervousness is mostly around adult actions and not amongst the students. The students are fine. So this month for LGBTQ Pride, we really want to focus on our students. And so that's what we created our slideshow around. All right, let's take a look. So a big part of learning in our district has just been what is all of the letters mean. We've presented this for our staff, and we've also presented it for our students at Alice Otten and other places in the district. And that's because a lot of our students fit into one of these other categories. We know that from our survey data on Youth Truth, where a lot of current students are identifying as other than straight. And so this is kind of, the kids are way ahead of us when it comes to the language and how we treat each other. All right, so that's the who is our students. The what is we just have a lot of contributions from members of the LGBTQ community, and Portland is known as one of the kind of biggest centers of that. And so we've had mayors, and we've had local celebrities, and we've had a lot of people. This is not necessarily reflected in our curriculum as it is, and so there's some growth that we are still looking at, and I think that's what at least our EXOT had been looking at. So yeah, local impact. This has been kind of a tumultuous era in Oregon, but Oregon's really been at the forefront in a lot of places, for a lot of places when it comes to the expansion of LGBT rights. In David Douglas, like I said, a lot of our students are either questioning or figuring out their identity in our schools. Currently, we have 4 Pride clubs in David Douglas, and then a staff affinity group that represents over 55 staff members in the district. And I do believe that this is a result of the district policies that are really celebrating with proclamations, and also just proclaiming that every student and every staff member belongs. According to GLSEN, having just one visibly supportive educator in school can ensure that LGBTQ students still feel safe, welcomed, and encouraged to learn. That's why I started coming out in front of my students. It was because of them. It wasn't because of my own fear. I went to our, I like to pop in at our Pride Club. It's sponsored by our Sun School program at LSOT, and I interviewed the students. So just let me read a few of their quotes. Acceptance of others starts with acceptance of self. That's from one of our 8th graders. Pride Club is a place where you can express your feelings. It's one of my students. Pride Club is a place for people to feel equal and heard. You can support LGBTQIA plus kids by using their names and pronouns. Another one of my former students. Pride Club shows that you're not alone and makes you feel safe. And Pride Club is a safe space where you can be comfortable when school is stressful. All right, and then lastly, for the district, we shared some links and some resources. Our equity team read the book Transgender Justice in Schools, and we took some resources from that, and then just kind of looked in the past at what would be helpful. And like I said, I think increasing student voice and representation and visibility in the curriculum, those are some places where we should be thinking about this Pride Month. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. I love the look of the presentation. And then are the folks from Ventura Park here? I know we're a little early. Oh, hi. Welcome. Good evening. Oh, you have to turn it on.
Okay, try number 2. There we go.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Marissa Casada. I am an equity chair at Ventura Park.
And I am Principal Smith, the principal at Ventura Park.
And so we worked on some Juneteenth slides, which we shared with the district and our staff. But in true kindergarten fashion, we decided we were going to do a read aloud about Juneteenth. So this is a book called Juneteenth for Maisie. The author is Floyd Cooper, and this is a book I bought for my classroom last year and was able to read it aloud with my students. And it's a really good way to bring the focus into the classroom. And it's also the abridged version, so I'm going to skip a few pages for the sake of time. Okay, the main character is Maisie, and it starts by saying, "We will celebrate the day your great-great-great-grandpa Mosey crossed into liberty. The day will be celebrated by us and many more families on a day we call Juneteenth." Dad lifts Maisie into his arms. "I bet you're tired of hearing no all the time." Well, great-great-great-grandpa Mosey heard no even more.
Grandpa Mose worked in fields that stretched all the way to sunset. He and the other enslaved people would be bone tired, but they had to keep going. Their enslavers wouldn't let them quit. But as they worked, they thought about freedom.
And before they finally went to sleep at night, they prayed about freedom and made plans for change and a better future. Some slaves ran north to freedom, following a bright star in the sky.
They sweat, they bled, and they cried till those cries were quieted by a single proclamation from a brave president. Grandpa Mose heard that proclamation read from the balcony of the hotel on that warm June day in Galveston, Texas.
Grandpa Mose heard nothing but cheers, saw nothing but happiness, and felt nothing but pride shared by all those around him. The cheers became dancing, the dancing became celebrating, and it went on and on into the night.
Grandpa Mose and the others had found freedom. They continued to work, but this time they were paid for their hard work. So they worked and they saved, and they never forgot the moment they heard, the moment that changed their lives forever.
But things weren't perfect. Black people still struggled to stand shoulder to shoulder with white people. They weren't treated as equals. It wasn't easy, but they never gave up. And every year on Juneteenth, they remembered.
They marched for jobs, they lobbied for schools and the right to vote. They shouted for opportunity.
And every year on Juneteenth, they celebrated and remembered. And then we'll stop there because it's halfway through the book. And that's our presentation.
Thank you. And thank you both teams for being here and presenting. We love to hear what our schools are doing, what our students are learning, hearing. Really appreciate it. And we're going to continue by doing proclamations for both Juneteenth and Pride Month. And so for board members, we're just going to split reading it. Oh. I think for now, maybe just the four of us, because it would be a little too confusing logistically to read it with folks online. Sorry, Alfie and Hua. So let's start with we're going to start with the David Douglas School District LGBTQ Pride Month proclamation, and I'll start, and then Heather and so on. Whereas Pride Month celebrations include people who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, two-spirit, pansexual, asexual, gender fluid, non-binary, intersex, and allies, and
whereas the New York City Police raided the Stonewall Inn, a gay club located in Greenwich Village in New York City, and sparked a riot led by black and brown trans activists, leading to 6 days of protests and violent clashes with law enforcement, known as the Stonewall Riots, which later served as a catalyst for the gay rights movement in the United States and around the world. And
whereas Portland has a rich history of LGBTQ community leaders, including activist and founder of Portland's first Pride March, Kathleen Sadat, judge and Asian Pacific Islander Pride co-founder Lynn Nakamoto, founding board member of Portland's Q Center and PDX Latinx Pride David Martinez, and founder of the Two Spirit Society Amanda Brings Plenty-Right, among countless others. And
whereas we must acknowledge that the LGBTQ plus community has faced and continues to face systemic discrimination, including restricted rights, social stigma, challenges accessing healthcare and other basic social services, and startling rates of violence. And
whereas, according to a recent DDSD student survey, 3% of middle school students and 5% of DDSD high school students reported that they identify outside of the gender binary, and there are an estimated 150,000 transgender youth nationwide between the ages of 13 and 17. However, more than half of all trans and gender expansive youth reported that they have no access to school restroom that match their gender identity, and only 1 in 3 were always called their true name while at school. And
whereas, according to a recent DDSD survey, 36% of middle school students and 31% of high school students do not identify as straight. Despite the size of these groups, lesbian, gay, and bisexual and pansexual and other queer students at DDSD high schools and middle schools were 5 times as likely to report having been bullied in the past year. And
whereas, according to a recent DDSD student survey, of the students that reported being bullied, 19% of DDSD middle school students and 27% of DDSD high school students reported being bullied and harassed because of their gender. And
whereas schools in our district run groups that support the social and emotional needs of our LGBTQ plus students, including pride clubs at our high schools and middle schools. These clubs work to promote LGBTQ plus inclusion in schools, such as gender neutral bathrooms. And
now, therefore, I, Gabriela Salinas Lopez, Chair of the David Douglas School Board of Directors, do hereby proclaim that June 1st through June 30th, 2025 be LGBTQ plus Pride Month in the David Douglas School District. Be it further resolved that the David Douglas School Board of Directors strongly encourages our staff and community to observe, recognize, and celebrate the contributions of LGBTQ plus people in our country and our state, our cities, and our schools. Thank you. And continue with the Juneteenth proclamation. And then again, I'll start and then go the same way. David Douglas School District proclamation proclaiming the celebration of Juneteenth in the month of June. Whereas President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, declaring that enslaved people in the Confederate territory free, paving the way for the passing of the 13th Amendment, which formally abolished slavery in the United States of America, and
whereas word about the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation was delayed some 2.5 years to June 19, 1865, in reaching authorities and African Americans in the South and in the southwestern United States, and
whereas Emancipation Day observations are held on different days in different states in the South and Southwest and in other parts of the nation, and
Whereas June 19th has a special meaning to Black African Americans and is called Juneteenth, combining the words June and 19th, and has been celebrated by the Black African American community for over 150 years, and
whereas 20.4% of our David Douglas students and families and 5.59% of our David Douglas faculty and staff are Black African American. Ancestors of Black/African American were not free until June 19th, 1865. The Juneteenth holiday has a special meaning to our school community, and
whereas the strategic hiring plan outlines specific strategies to increase staff of color, including a Grow Your Own program with 46 staff of color enrolled.
whereas the Black Student Union and other student-led groups organize and promote Black student success and culture, and
whereas the David Douglas School District has an adopted equity policy that states our commitment to closing the achievement gap for Black African American students and creating an educational environment where all students can benefit equally from the educational programs offered, and
whereas the district is working towards limiting the racial predictability and disproportionality on all aspects of education and articulated action steps in the adopted district strategic plan and district equity plan. And now, therefore, I, Gabriela Saldana Lopez, Chair of the David Douglas School Board of Directors, do hereby proclaim June 19, 2025, Juneteenth in the David Douglas School District. Be it further resolved that the David Douglas School Board of Directors strongly encourages our staff, our community to observe, recognize, and celebrate June 19th or Juneteenth for its historical significance to our country, our state, our cities, and our schools. Thank you, everyone. And I'll pass it on to Ms. Tace Spears for Grow Your Own end of year report.
You know, there's many things I enjoy about my job, but this has to be probably one of the top things. And so what I'm going to do, I have members in the audience that I am going to ask to join me here at the table and ensure your mic is on as we go through the presentation. And that's Andreina, and I think I have Miss Bradley here. If you can make your way up. Thank you. And as we go through this presentation, I do want to highlight just this amazing program. And Andreina Velasco, who is not in the room right now, during many of my absences this year due to health-related issues, she did not drop the ball. She kept things running, and I truly, truly appreciate her dedication. Oh, she did. Okay. And I'll say that again when she comes back in the room. So as we continue through our presentation, our charge truly here at David Douglas School District, our commitment is to increase staff of color so that district staff more accurately reflect the student population in accordance with state law. And this is something that we just don't give mouth service for, right? We have this in action. It is a part of our equity plan and commitment for workplace policy. It is our due diligence that we want to increase the number of staff of color that we have in teaching positions in our district, and it also has been a direct ask of our students. And I'm going to say this again now that Andreina is in the room. Andreina, I want to recognize you during my time away due to medical leave for you not dropping the ball. You ran with it, you kept it going, and I appreciate your support. As we continue to advance, and I think, yep, there we go, and we can advance to the next slide. I just went over our charge and our commitment. You will also notice the focus and the indicators of our work, but to draw your attention back to the equity plan commitment 4 is truly where this work lives. Sandy, you can advance. As we take a look back at 23-24, if you look at the left side of the screen, that's our student population. Our district is known for its diversity. We are truly diverse. As we go over to look at the teaching population, that did not always align. We want to continue to advance that. Later on in the presentation, you will see the new numbers in relation to our staff of color. Sandy, you can advance. The overview of our Grow Your Own program. Our goal truly is to build a district culture that is unapologetic about hiring and retaining staff of color to increase representation of our student population. Our why, the majority of our students identify as students of color and speak dozens and different languages from across the world. We want to continue to uplift our students and to ensure that they know that they are seen, and also the modeling of our students, our teachers of color who are in the classroom, so our students also know I can do it too. Who are we? We connect with all students, David Douglas High School students and employees interested in advancing their career in education. Again, we'll get a little personal tonight and talk about our graduates of 14 that we've had this year who have completed the teaching program successfully. In addition of that, I believe we have 10 that have completed their terms at PCC and now moving on to higher ed. So very excited about that work. Our what? We offer participants tuition assistance, college, career, financial aid, navigating support, continued pay benefits, and employment during practicum, which is extremely hard. And so we are able to get subs for our students who are going into classroom teachers, teaching just to ensure that we don't leave any absence anywhere for our students in learning. They are covered. We can advance to the next slide. So preparing our present, engaging current staff in career advancement. What does this look like in our district? And I'll just go to the highlighted area. Embedded and amplified GYO presence in our HR onboarding. Mr. Long and Darcy Powers have worked extremely hard with us to ensure that we are always uplifting the GYO program within our human resource department. Embedded and amplified GYO presence among staff. So we have monthly sessions where we also pull in our GYO students and our staff of color just to continue to create space of affinity. Enrolled classified staff in appropriate pathways. So again, going back to our partners and looking at our students' goals and ensuring that they are in the right academic courses as well as programs. We facilitate practicum experience. And again, that's collaborate with colleagues and schools to ensure GYO participants are placed in district and student teaching positions. Lastly, hire graduates for certified positions. So one thing that we have done for over 2.5 years, we have the ability for during our summertime to hire our own graduating students to be a part of the GYO summer school. And those students are supporting with elementary students and pulling in as IAs with the goal of them possibly being hired into classified positions and working for the district, which then give them the availability to support to be a part of GYO. Sandy, you can advance. If you look at the numbers, we have really done some hard work here, and it's something that we're very proud of. Again, currently we had 14 GYO graduates, but we have 46 participants in the GYO program across our district. Sandy, you can advance. Here we have the number of our graduates, but also you will see the little signs of where they've been hired. And so of our 14, we already have 4 that have been hired within our district. So very excited about that. And Sandy, you can advance. Some of our top priorities after we move on, again, still stay in the area of hiring, retaining GYO students. The reality is that we've had some severe cuts, so we don't have a lot of teaching positions opened, but we do work with our other, what Ken reminded me of is that regardless if they are not hired within David Douglas, they still make a difference in the state of Oregon as we continue our goal of diversifying our teachers. I'm still working through that process, but I believe what Ken said. And retention support. One thing that we were able to do this year, we partnered with MESD and McRinn, and we did have a student mentor of color that worked with some of our new teachers. and some challenges that have come up, and we all know that is really around employing our graduates, what happens, right? So of our 19 previous graduates, 5 have left our district, and we didn't have teaching opportunities for them. However, they landed on their feet in other employment. While 14 participants are graduating this year, there are only limited certified positions available for them to apply. So we are remaining hopeful for those things and still working sometimes with partnering districts to ensure that they are employed. Sandy, you can advance. And at this time, I have the honor of turning it over to Dee Dee Bradley.
Hello. Last day of school. Hoorah. I didn't think I was going to make it. Thank you for having me tonight. I appreciate you guys. I don't have a script. I first and foremost want to say how grateful I am to be a part of this, to have been a part of this program. I've learned so much, and I'm still learning. I wish that there was more of me in the district. I'm just looking at this slide when they sent it to me. All I can think about for each one of these questions, as far as academics and discipline focus, one thing came to mind, which is just love, right? For me, I shower my kids with so much love that it makes them want to learn, it makes them want to listen and be their best selves, right? So I just told at our family picnic, I just told a family that a kid is coming to my room because he's been struggling this year. And I told him, I'm gonna shower you with so much love you're gonna throw up. And the dad looked at me like I was crazy. And I told him, I said, that's what it's about, right? You have to build relationships with the kids inside and outside of the classroom, because that's what I do. I go to soccer games, I go to basketball games. Haven't been to any birthday parties yet, but who knows? I hope, let me rephrase that. My hope is that more of me can be represented in our district, because I love David Douglas District. I live just a few blocks away from Centennial, and I could be anywhere else, right? But this is where I choose to be. This is where I want to be. The kids need me here. They need me. The science says so. They need me. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue the work. I'm going to continue to give affirmations and love kids until they throw up. It's just not going to stop. I'm going to continue to do it. I'm not gonna. I'm trying to keep it together, because it's a lot happening this week. You know, kids leaving, promotion, all the things. But I just want to say thank you for believing in me when nobody else did.
I'm so sorry, I'm late, y'all. Yeah, I was coming from Vancouver, so you know. So I'm Jazzy Griffin. I wrote my stuff down. Sorry, I'm gonna get emotional. You already started.
And Jazzy, not to throw you off, can you tell me what school you're at and what grade you teach? And then I'm gonna pop back to Dee Dee for the same.
Yeah, I'm at Floyd Light Middle School and I teach 8th grade.
Thank you. Dee Dee?
I'm at Mill Park Elementary, and I teach 5th grade.
Thank you.
So my name is Jazzy Griffin, and I'm an 8th grade math and science teacher here at our district. This has been my first year teaching and truly the best year of my life. I've spent it learning alongside some of the most resilient, brilliant, and respectful and supportive young people I've ever met. Tonight I want to share how I've worked to address both academic and discipline disparities, and how my lived experiences shape the way I show up for my students every single day. Academically, I ground my classroom in the belief that all students are capable of success, especially those who have been historically underserved.
Closing academic gaps has meant more than just teaching content. It's meant restoring confidence. From day one, my top priority has been creating a safe learning environment where students feel empowered to speak up, take risks, and believe in their own potential. I've been a part of this district since 5th grade. I graduated in 2014 and returned here to work in 2018. I am my students and my students are me. I know how vulnerable learning is and how intimidating it can be to ask a teacher for help or to admit something doesn't make sense. I've been that student, silenced, brushed aside, and made to feel like I don't belong simply because I didn't walk in with prior knowledge. So now as a teacher, I make sure my students never feel that way. I tell them they are smart, that they are capable, that they are worthy of academic success, and no matter what they've been told before. I greet them each day with love, kindness, and warmth because I know what it's like to be a child carrying adult-sized burdens. And when they see me smiling at them, they feel safe enough to learn. That's when the real work begins. I make my content accessible, culturally relevant, and reflective of who they are. I use visuals, sentence frames, and translated materials, but more importantly, I built a classroom community where students want to support each other, even volunteering to translate for their peers. I meet them where they are because I see them as whole people, more than test scores, young people navigating food insecurity, trauma, language barriers, and the weight of being underestimated. I don't view them through the lens of stereotypes. I see who they are and who they have the power to become. Because of these practices, I witnessed real academic growth. In the fall, 92% of my students were performing 2 or more grade levels below. By winter, that number dropped to 75%. And by the end of the year, only 43% of my students were 2 or more grade levels behind. Oh, thank you. Even more powerful, 32% of my students tested at or above grade level, with some making gains of 5 to 7 grade levels in just one school year. That kind of growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens when students feel safe, seen, and supported. As a Black woman, this isn't just my job, it's my calling. I teach with the same fire my ancestors carried when they fought for their right to learn. I carry that legacy with me into every lesson, every conversation, and every moment. When it comes to discipline disparities, I start with relationships. As a Black educator, I remember what it feels like to be misunderstood or punished more harshly than others. I don't bring bias, implicit or explicit, into my classroom. I don't meet behavior with hostility or control. I meet with curiosity, care, and consistency. My classroom is rooted in mutual respect. I don't believe in power plays or inserting dominance over students. Instead, I co-create expectations with them. We hold each other accountable through restorative conversations and authentic connection. My goal isn't to control behavior, it's to nurture growth. I help students reflect, make better choices, and mature into the best versions of themselves. And one of the most powerful tools I use is partnership with families. Discipline becomes transformational when parents and caregivers are included as allies, not afterthoughts. Ultimately, my lived experiences growing up in a system that wasn't built for me are what drive everything I do. Every day, I stand in front of students who remind me of myself, and I know I'm not just teaching content, I'm teaching confidence, community, and the belief that education is liberating. I want every student who walks through my door to feel like they belong, to know that I am rooting for them, and to trust that I will show up for them every single day, because that is where real learning begins. When I asked one of my students what it meant to her to have a BIPOC teacher, she said, "Seeing you made me feel safe. I feel comfortable talking to you about my life and culture. You don't make weird comments about my race or make me feel uncomfortable. You actually make me feel like you want to teach me. The teacher I had last year made me feel dumber. When I asked for help, I didn't get it. You never let failing be an option for me. You are my first teacher I've had since I moved from the Dominican Republic that told me I was smart. Thank you."
It's a great picture of us.
I was going to show you guys my why. I'm going to show you anything.
Yeah.
You guys see that there?
Thank you, Princess. That's our students today. Moved up forward. It's okay. Yeah.
Look at the culture in that room.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much, Ms. Dee and Jazzy. Now I'm going to talk about the high school side of our Grow Your Own program. And this is how we prepare for our future, how we engage high school students in education pathways. We embed and amplify the GYO presence in the high school with myself embedded in the North Campus and all over the place. We enroll students in CTE. We have an incredible CTE program and connect with our early childhood and K-12 education class. And this is where it gets really exciting, right around this time. We enroll students in the Multnomah Grow Your Own Summer Academy and hire them as GYO interns. And Princess is one of our, we'll share, but one of our GYO interns from last year and this year again. We just onboarded 10 of our high school graduates. Then after summer, we hire the graduates to classified positions, and we connect them to high school associates pathways like Ms. Asia back there, who is currently in an associate's pathway. Right? Next slide, Sandy. 24-25 high school student participation in GYO. We had 14 graduating seniors complete Ed 200, and that's a dual credit class through Mount Hood Community College, taught by Ms. Wood. 18 rising seniors are enrolled in that class as well, and they complete internships in their second semester in our elementary schools, middle and high school. We hired 10 DDHS students as GYO summer interns. 8 out of 10 of them are multilingual, representing Spanish, English, Vietnamese, Swahili, and I think that's it for now. Yeah. And 10 out of 10 identify as BIPOC, so they're truly representative of our student population. Next slide. So today I really want to give space and voice to the future of our GYO program, when our students become our teachers. Princess Moreno is a 2025 David Douglas High School graduate. That's your picture from last week. Yes. She was a 2024 GYO summer intern and will be returning to that role this summer. As a senior, she completed Ms. Wood's dual credit Introduction to K-12 Education CTE class, and she'll share her teaching philosophy, which is the final for that class today. She was also an intern in Ms. Naomi Zimmerman's second grade dual immersion classroom in Lincoln Park. Next year, she plans to work in our district as an instructional assistant and join the GYO program. Her long-term goal is to become a bilingual teacher in David Douglas.
Hello, my name is Princess Moreno, and this is my Ed 200 teaching philosophy. Teaching students is a lifelong journey. It comes with trials and errors and constantly adapting and reflecting on your practices to fit the needs of the students you are teaching. All students are capable of learning and growth when given the right tools and support. They are unique individuals who bring their own lived experience into the classroom. As an educator, it's my responsibility to recognize and honor that uniqueness, meeting each student where they are and supporting their growth from that point forward. Students begin learning through observation long before they enter the classroom. What they see at home and in their communities shape their early understanding of the world before they ever enter the classroom. In my experience, I've seen how students truly want to learn. They have a natural drive and curiosity when learning is both engaging and relevant to them. Students become generally more excited about the learning process. Teaching is more than just delivering a lesson. It involves showing your students how to be kind human beings in the world around them and to be confident individuals. These skills are essential to young learners. And as a teacher, you are modeling these examples. Teachers are mentors and role models. Your teaching practices reflect the students you teach. So being mindful and ethical at all times truly is key to creating a space with transparency and fair and equal interactions. When teaching, you are learning alongside your students. It's part of being a lifelong learner, an essential skill for this job. Each student is different, and learning how to support them best while constantly improving your teaching practices is important for being an effective educator. Modeling this looks like building a healthy relationship with students and their caregivers. I believe teaching is a collaborative effort. It involves working together with colleagues, administrators, and families to build connections and grow in knowledge. This ongoing collaboration not only enriches our teaching practices, but also inspires students to become engaged, curious, and empowered in their own educational journeys. Education empowers people to grow and make a difference in the world. It is supported by teachers and others who devote their lives to helping others learn. Education leaves a meaningful impact and a lasting impression on the hearts of those it touches. I've experienced this firsthand through educators who went above and beyond to teach me, and with lots of patience and empathy, shaping me into the person I am today. Education has helped me become a critical thinker and a problem solver. Education is a privilege and holds lots of value. It opens doors for opportunities. When done right, it leaves one of the most impactful knowledges and gets passed down to future generations. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being here, presenting, and thank you so much for choosing to be teachers in our district, to supporting our students. I know that it means the world to have teachers that look like yourself, who support you, and who believe in you. That goes such a long way and stays with children who then grow to be adults, then shape the world around us. It's like a chain of reaction, and it starts with that one caring person. So thank you for being that person for students. I don't have a question, but yeah.
I don't have a question either, but I can't. And Gabrielle Borcher, she said it already, but just thank you. You mentioned, I've had the privilege of being in the classroom and seeing the joy and seeing the love and seeing you not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. But you mentioned, or you said something, I think you were looking directly at Tay, but still you said, thank you for believing in me. I want to flip it around and thank you all for believing in us. Thank you for choosing David Douglas. Thank you for your service. Thank you for the hard work to get to where you are today. To give back to kids, to lift kids up, to lift education up. It makes a difference, and we're just so happy from the future to the current and what's happening, seeing this work actually have impact in kids' lives, and down the road, them coming back and teaching and believing in education. We can't even measure that impact. So that's all I want to say is just thank you for committing and believing in David Douglas and choosing David Douglas, and wherever you end up landing and however you navigate all of this, I know ultimately it's for kids. So just on behalf of anyone that has kids, that believes in education, thank you for what you do.
So our part that we play is so tiny. As the school board, we volunteer, we help with policy and budget, and we hire and fire that guy. And that's like the extent of what we do. What makes Douglas Douglas is you. And I'm kind of a nerd in that I have certain presentations on our YouTube from school board meetings bookmarked, because sometimes I need to go back and watch them to feel inspired. And I'm telling you, this one's going on the bookmark tonight. Thank you so much for sharing yourselves, and it makes this work really feel meaningful. So I'm honored to be in the room with y'all. Thank you.
I was going to wait till the end to say something, because it's also a reflection of public comment. But we get a lot of these presentations, and when we get teachers here or students that sneak in their life experience and tell us about what's happening, what they're doing, it feels so meaningful, and I appreciate it so much. So, which is why I was going to hold the public comment, because for Stephanie to pass on to Alice, all those stories that we hear from teachers during bargaining, I want them to always happen. I want these presentations to have these voices, because the numbers are important, but you don't remember the numbers at the end of the day. You remember your stories, right? That's what's important. That's what propels us forwards and gets us to be better. So keep sharing it, keep coming, keep telling us, update us. Don't just wait till like something's happening. I appreciate hearing it.
I don't know if Wes and Alfie are still online, but I wanted to give them the opportunity if they wanted to say anything too. If not, that's totally okay. And just to add really quick, I just wanted to, say thank you again, but in addition to Dee Dee, Jazzy, Princesa for being here. Also, Andrina and Tay, who's like a champion for this program. And, you know, this program wouldn't exist without y'all advocating and pushing for it and creating it. And so I just really want to say congratulations for all the hard work of our GYO graduates and participants. And yeah, thank you so much. That's really amazing.
And also, I recently heard that GYO might be leaving the state budget. So if anyone wants to make a phone call to their legislator to be like, don't do this, you should do that. Just saying.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Whoa, that was way louder than I meant it. Thanks, y'all. And oh my God.
Thank you.
I know we're transitioning right now, and I know one of our board members is going to the bathroom, but I think we should be okay. Yeah, we're gonna take a little bit of break. We're a little ahead of schedule, so we'll wait until board member Stevens comes back to resume, but just take a little break as we move around the room.
Brooke, I didn't mean to interrupt, but we're on a little bit of a break. But if you want to have the science team come up and set up and get organized, I mean, they don't have to, but you definitely can if you want to. Yeah.
Oh, no, actually,
Are we beginning? No.
All right. I don't know where Director Franklin went. But I think we could just get started, and then she can join us. And
she's going to be mad. You know how she loves science.
I know.
Wrong
She'll forgive us. But yeah, we're talking about the approval of elementary and high school science adoption. And so, Brooke.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, we all love science, so we're really excited to be coming back to you again, 2 board meetings in a row. So thank you for having us. So in May, we presented our middle school science adoption. And since that time, our elementary and our high school teams came together and they had what we call Decision Day. And it's after 2 years of work that we've done on this project, and I'm really proud of the teams. And tonight we have Brennan and Carrie here who represent our curriculum coordinator, our science health, TOSA, and we have teachers here who are going to tell why they like this curriculum, and I want to thank you. I know we're standing between summer break, and I'm glad you got to spend your first night of summer with us. And we have publishers who are here from out of town. I want to thank them so that you can hear a little bit about the programs that we're going to ask you to approve tonight. At our last meeting, we went over the process thus far, the 2 years. We're not going to repeat that tonight, but we did leave it in your package just for reference. So I'm going to turn it over to Carrie, who is going to start us off.
All right. Good evening. Carrie Foster, K-12 Curriculum Coordinator.
Brennan Brockbank, K-12 Science and Health, TOSA.
As Brooke said, we're not going to go through this packet again, but we did want to have it in your board packet. So next slide, please. We had a big science adoption committee. We are very, very excited to have this many teachers and representation from our schools to go on this journey with us, as we're very excited to adopt new science instructional materials. Next slide, please. There we are, all together as a K-12 team starting out. Next slide. And we did a 2-year adoption, first time ever. Had some new things included, which was really exciting, but we are here tonight because we did finish up our elementary and our high school adoptions. Next slide. And as always, we really do leading and learning with equity. We leaned into ambitious science teaching and the opportunity myth as part of our equity work. Next slide. And some things that we learned from the ambitious science teaching, more traditional science teaching, and really what does good science teaching look like based on research. And so this helped inform our priorities that we'll look at in a little bit. Next slide. One of the highlights, personally, and I think from our group, as we found out from feedback, was student-led focus groups. So thank you to Heather for participating in that, where we had industry leaders from 9 different STEM-related fields in our community come and work, do student-led focus groups to learn more about what skills are needed in STEM-related fields. So, next slide. And we also, of course, want to know, what do students want in science materials? And so what we learned from surveying 3rd through 12th grade students is that they really want hands-on interactive learning, working with groups and peers relevant to their lives and future interests, and different ways to show their learning. And I think you're going to really see that highlighted in the 2 curriculums for elementary and high school. And next slide. We do have our science vision. I won't read it this time like I did last time, but we really believe strongly in our K-12 science vision. Next slide. And we're going to go into our priorities in just a minute, but here are some of the things that help develop our priorities. Freedom Dream number 1, which came from our staff of color, to adopt a culturally responsive curriculum that affirms the identity of Black and Brown students. Really looking at curriculum through an equity lens, and Dr. Mindy Chappell from PSU to help lead us in some equity work. Leaning into research through the ambitious science teaching and opportunity myth, and then our data, our student survey data from what students want in curriculum, and student empathy interviews that each of our committee members did to learn more about our students' lived experiences with science education in our district. Next slide. And so here are our elementary science adoption priorities. I won't read them. They're very similar to our secondary priorities, but probably the biggest difference is priority number 5, curriculum that offers flexibility within lessons and adaptability of time, because science is only one of many subjects that elementary teaches, so that was very important for our teachers to have that within a curriculum. And next slide. And then our secondary science adoption priorities that we showed you for middle school are the same for our high school because they help develop them as a 6-12 team. Okay, next slide. And with that, I'll turn it over to Brendan.
And so of the many science curriculums that our elementary science adoption committee reviewed, they chose last Friday, 2 Fridays ago, TWIG. And so I'm excited, if next slide, please. Based on our priorities that Carrie just went over and the instructional design of this curriculum and usability, that this is the best choice for David Douglas students. And so we're going to hear from TWIG representatives today, as well as a teacher who has piloted this curriculum. And so next slide, please. I'd like to introduce Angela Gregorich, and also Anya Dalkin is here from Imagine Learning to tell us a little bit more about TWIG Science.
Thank you for the opportunity to come and share with you guys about TWIG Science. My name is Angela Gregorich. Anya is supporting me in the back. I'm the account executive for Oregon, and Anya is our area director. So next slide, please. Well, next slide. Double next slide. TWIG Science is a research-based K-5 program that ensures students are learning science by doing it authentically every lesson that they experience. Throughout their experiences, as well as the teacher supports that are built into the curriculum, students become scientifically literate, which is really important and a cornerstone of our curriculum. Next slide. Students engage in a variety of multimodal STEM experiences throughout each module. They have hands-on experiences, for example. When hands-on experiences aren't possible in the classroom, we also have really rich digital labs and investigations that they can use as well. Students will be introduced to a lot of diverse and different real-life scientists and engineers along the way, which is while also engaging in scientific text investigations. It's important to note, when you walk into a TWIG Science classroom, you will see lots of talking, lots of reading, lots of writing, and that's on purpose, because when scientists are doing that work in the field, they're always reading and writing and discussing their findings with each other. Finally, students get to experience high quality and engaging video content, which really works to bring the outside world into the classroom and show them lots of different variety of things throughout the world in front of them. Next slide. Each module of TWIG Science is organized into chapters, or what we call driving questions. Each question helps drive inquiry-based learning by chunking the content into digestible questions to help students make sense of a more targeted investigative phenomena. The understanding of each investigative phenomena, which are the questions you see here, leads to a deeper understanding of the larger anchor phenomenon, for the example, in this case, how forces affect movement. Next slide. TWIG Science understands how important equity and access are in the science classroom. So interwoven in our curriculum are language routines developed by Stanford Scale, our partners, and they're found throughout the program. These support both a deep understanding of the content as well as developing language simultaneously. So these routines help provide structured conversations that connect all the dimensions of next-gen science standards. They act as a bridge to deepen student understanding, and then they also encourage students to articulate science ideas verbally without the need for perfection. So students can access, and these effective filters make the science classroom a lot more fun and engaging and not so high risk. Next slide. Throughout their elementary education, students will experience 29 different STEAM roles for multiple weeks at a time while physically doing lots of science. In the words of Sally Ride, you can't be what you can't see. And that's just a little bit about TWIG Science. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come and share with you guys.
Next slide, please. Thank you, Angela. Next slide.
So this is just a little snippet of how Twig Science really addressed our priorities from the pilot. This is all compiled from the teachers. And just want to highlight, it had really strong connections to literacy, which was really important to the teachers, and offered a lot of flexibility with how to do the program, and a fast track option, still allowing to cover all the standards in a shorter amount of time, which we thought was really important. Next slide. And then what did our students say? You're going to hear from one of our teachers in just a second. But what our students seem to really enjoy Twig. We really look for large sections of red and blue. And you can see that it's kind of hard to see on that. But you can see our students really liked it. Yeah. And next slide. Without further ado, you don't want to hear from me. You want to hear from the teachers. So I want to introduce Marissa Quesada.
Again.
Hi again. Okay. This curriculum felt like a dream to teach. Like, when I first opened the book and I went to lesson 1, I was a little kind of like, okay, let's see what this is. And I opened it and it immediately said, prep this plant for in 4 weeks, because you're going to need a live plant for in 4 weeks. And I was like, oh, that's really helpful. So I don't open this in 4 weeks and go, uh-oh, I don't have a plant. So then I proceeded with the rest of the lesson, and it was like, you're going to need this material, this set of cards. And then I went to the set of cards, like thinking, oh, I was going to have to organize all of the cards. They were already organized in sets, and I just had to give each set to each pair of students. Like, it was just honestly a dream. And I feel like because it was so easy for me to prep, my students were so engaged. Like, I wasn't running around like a chicken, so they were not running around like chickens. It was great. I also felt like this curriculum emphasized a higher level of knowledge in my students. There was one particular lesson about doing like a knowledge map, like making a model of your thinking. And I remember when I looked at it, I was like, okay, we're going to make a model. Like, I'll do it on the board, and then we'll all probably make the same model. And it was something along the lines of like, lions eat grass and then the zebras eat grass, or something along the lines of that. And I did the teacher model, and they watched and listened, and then they went back to their seats, and I was expecting them to do the same model that I did. And all of my students independently made a model of their thinking in their workbook. And I was like astounded, just like the level of knowledge they had. And I have so many multilingual students in my class, and they were all so successful with this curriculum. There were visuals, there were sentence frames, there were talk routines, there was so much talking. And then my favorite part was the connection to literacy, because I knew the topics were going to align with our literacy units, but then seeing the cross-curricular connections were just amazing. Like, their background knowledge exploded, their vocabulary exploded. It was just, like, honestly, a dream. And so I'm really excited that we adopted Twig.
Thank you. Next slide, please.
And can I just say, before we move on to high school, I do want to give a huge shout out to Imagine Learning as our publishers. Our teams were deliberating between Twig Science and Discovery Ed, and they were raving about the workbooks that come with the program. And they were so excited. And we all just had a pit in our stomach, because we're like, we can't afford the workbooks. We're like $180,000 short if we get the workbooks. But that was kind of a game changer. And I do want to, because really shout it out, we worked together with our representatives, and they gave us the workbooks with our finite budget. They said, we will work with you. We know what you have. We know times are tough right now. And that is such a huge give. So thank you so much.
Yeah, the workbooks are a huge, it reduces a barrier for teachers to utilize the curriculum, and they're beautiful and worth doing.
And engage students. I think that's right. So, okay.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go on to high school. As Carrie already mentioned, we talked about the priorities that we use to evaluate high school science curriculum. our high school science adoption committee narrowed down the curriculums, and they moved to vote to support unanimously McGraw-Hill Education's Inspire Science. So I'd like to introduce first Mike Maddie, but also Teresa Miller and Heidi Anderson are also here from McGraw-Hill Education, and will tell us a little bit about this curriculum.
Thank you, Brennan. Thank you, Brennan. Like we said, my name is Mike Maddie. I'm a curriculum specialist with McGraw-Hill for Inspire Science, and I'm excited to share with you. Also with me, like Brennan said, is Heidi and Teresa. They are your local representatives. I actually came in from Phoenix to come and present to you, so I'm very excited about that. But I was also in Forest Grove with Teresa, so we do a lot of work in Oregon, so we're excited about this partnership. Next slide, please. So we are sharing with you biology, physical science with earth, chemistry, and physics, which were built on the idea for rigorous but equitable science instruction, really trying to develop critical thinking skills in our kids for them to observe, evaluate, question, and explain phenomena-driven instruction, to the point that even our covers are phenomena-driven instruction, where very visual, very connected to our students and their experiences. Next slide, please. And we want them to have those real world experiences, right? And so they're going to look at a phenomena image, like stepping on a Lego, like which one of us has not done that? But also connecting to real world careers and looking at real world current event type ideas, where they are reading articles for understanding and applying it to a real world situation and connecting that science for them and making it relevant, which then makes them more engaged and more active. Next, please. And to be honest, it's about hands-on, right? When we walk into a science classroom, I don't want to be watching a teacher presenting material or giving material in a traditional method where they are, I call it sitting and getting. We want our kids active. And so we're going to have active simulations, labs, virtual investigations, a variety of opportunities for our kids to engage with the science and really be able to work collaboratively, and discourse happening in our classrooms and having that conversation and that collaboration amongst our students. Please, next, please. And it's about the curiosity, and I sort of looked at this after I made it, and I thought, man, that is just hard to see. But that left image is what is called the driving question board. Our kids are building questions based off of a phenomena-driven instruction, where they are looking at something that is real-world relevant to them and asking questions about it. And we create a little board with questions and activities to go along with that. And everything is based off of a claim that they make. And so what they need to do is look at that image and say, hey, what do you know? What do you wonder? What do you need to figure out? And why do you think? That's their claim. And then throughout a module, throughout a lesson, they are going to be actively engaged with those labs, with reading, with different opportunities to engage with the science, to find evidence, because that's what scientists do, is they go out and collect evidence through research, through activities, through labs, through experiments, right? And then when they're done, they have to connect that together, because they need to make that connection and explain their reasoning, which is the key. And on top of that, we have Actively Learn, which is going to give the teachers an additional library of new resources, current events. It's updated regularly. Could be careers, could be some different opportunities for kids to engage with relevant science for them. And again, it's current event related. Next, please. And yet, like I said, we need to create rigorous and challenging curriculum, and that is going to be given by the left side is STEM projects, where our kids are creating a solution to a problem. This one is about a rooftop garden. We're trying to grow something, and we have some conflicts and some things going on, and what do we need to do to make that happen? Three-dimensional questions. Our three dimensions in science are discipline core ideas, that core subject, our cross-cutting concepts, and our science and engineering practices, connecting those in an opportunity for students to demonstrate their understanding, whether it's through that activity or through that three-dimensional guide, where kids can work collaboratively, have conversations, and again, Actively Learn is going to create opportunities for our kids to be challenged, higher level Lexile levels, additional labs, additional activities, up-to-date data interactive labs where students can collaborate with, and also PhET simulations through our partnership with University of Colorado. Excuse me. Thanks, please. But we also need to have that lower end extreme, right? We need all students to see themselves in science, and that's where we need access for all, that equitable component. So we're going to have resources for English language learners. We're going to have an adaptive reading opportunity, what's called Learn Smart, where kids are reading the book. They're going to answer questions off of that book, and it's going to adapt to their level. It's going to adjust the DLK levels, the depth of knowledge levels. It's going to have personal tutors if there's a math concept involved to make sure those kids get it. And that three-dimensional assessment guide I mentioned also has something called a guided practice, where there's a little hint, a tip, or a trick to help guide kids. They're doing questions similar in the previous one where they're being challenged, but this one is providing them supports, the reminders, so that they can be engaged with science as well. And then, of course, Actively Learn is also that library of resources, also has lower Lexile levels, has the opportunity for extra reading, extra opportunities for our kids to explore and make their connections. And it's also connected to the state of Oregon science standards, so teachers can actually look for standards and research articles and extra resources based on that as well. Next slide, please. And again, your two local representatives, Teresa and Heidi, myself, looking forward to partner with you. We're really excited to offer teachers the opportunity to prepare and get ready whenever they need to. There is online resources they can use to get ready and support themselves and prepare for next school year, back to school summer sessions to get your teachers ready. But the big thing to me is getting your students to love science, and I think that's the goal. And I agree that some of the passion I saw today, very impressive, and we're excited to partner with that and be involved with that science curriculum at the high school. Thank you.
Next slide, please.
And this is just a snippet of how Inspire Science aligned with our priorities. But again, you probably want to hear from the teachers more than me. So next slide, please. Here's, again, a snippet of what our students said. We're looking for the red and the blue to be very large portions. And we had seen some really good feedback from our students with Inspire Science. Next slide. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to our wonderful teachers. And we have the addition of Scott Dosa, who had to move mountains to get here tonight, but we really appreciate him coming. So I will let them introduce themselves and share a little bit about their experience piloting Inspire Science.
Hi, I'm Scott Dosa. I'm currently teaching biology. This is Becky Karki. She's teaching the integrated science program next year. So we had two curriculums that we're actually piloting at the same time. I think for most of our group, we appreciated the McGraw-Hill integrated science curriculum in terms of it kind of fits exactly where our students are. I thought the reading and the activities were right on grade level. For biology, my students all reported they liked the graphic organizers in terms of the organizing not just the readings, but how we kind of applied that to some of the labs as well. I don't know. I thought overall the fit was the best for us at all levels, lab, support materials, and the readings. It supported our literacy goals as well.
Do I have to use
Oh,
that?
sorry.
It's okay. I really appreciated the graphic organizers too. So my students found it really easy to access the information. I liked that obviously we have a physical textbook, which is not as common anymore, but I think moving away from screens is going to be really good in the classroom, so they can have the physical book on their desk, right? But then they can still access the material at home, and they don't have to break their backs like I used to in school, carrying around all the textbooks. But also, what I like too, I noticed, like, because I left the books out on the desks just like during the pilots, they're able to like flip through it when there's like any sort of downtime. So like they are accessing that information even when we're not telling them what to do with that. And then like the phenomenon that was mentioned like at the beginning, they copied on the question, and they're honestly really simple sometimes, but then they move to more complex, and then just like tying it back in. Since I teach advanced this year, I was looking kind of like at leveling stuff, right? So I felt like it did give those advanced kids a challenge on certain areas, and I was able to like work through certain material and see like, oh, this is where like the extra rigor is involved on that as well.
Yeah, I thought the real world phenomena, not just the beginning phenomena, but the little outtakes were also really applicable. Kids like that.
Yeah.
Part quite a bit.
Next slide. All right, so thank you. Thank you to our teachers and our publishers for coming. I will turn it over to Brooke.
Yeah, so this is an action item, and so we're asking for your approval to purchase Imagine Learning Twig Science, not to exceed $710,000, and for high school McGraw-Hill Education Inspire Science, not to exceed $310,000.
Do I have a motion?
Sorry.
It just wasn't loud. Do you have a motion?
Sorry. I move approval of the elementary and high school science curriculum adoption.
Second.
Awesome, thank you. It has been moved in second. Any questions, comments, concerns?
I'm very appreciative. I'm really excited about the more hands-on, the actual books, the manipulatives. Very excited we're here. Thank you for working with our budget. I'm super happy about that too, because it's so vital for our kids to have, equitable, accessible materials. And thank you to the teachers and Carrie and your team and Brooke for, kind of working with the full circle and keeping an equity lens on all of this. So I just want to express appreciation for all of the components here.
Yeah, that budget is real, and we had to kick the can on science when we did not want to, and we were really scrounging to try to figure out how to make it work this year. And I'm just so thankful that we have up-to-date curriculum for all of our K through 12 students now. Thank you.
Yeah, and I do have a question, not just a thank you, but thank you also. But I heard a little bit about the curriculum being able to give advanced kids the advanced learning they need. How does this curriculum work for our SPED kids? Because often I hear from teachers that sometimes the curriculum kind of leaves them behind, or they're just expected to teach the same curriculum when their kids don't learn the same. How does the two different curriculums work with our different groups? Because they're also part of the equity focus that we often forget.
Absolutely, great question.
Great question, and I stared at Twig like, okay, who's going to go answer this question first? So apparently, I'm not. Yeah, with the high school section, there are some different things that adjust the level of our kids, right? And it could be supports for teachers inside the materials that sort of direct to differentiate instruction. It could be the different labs. Some might be more guided, where they're not doing more investigative. It could be more open, which is going to challenge some kids. So depending upon those labs, there's options in the labs. Accessing the content, like Becky said, it's the print book, but we also have with biology and the integrated science, the opportunity to lower the Lexile levels of the textbooks, approximately 2 to 3 grade levels. Those graphic organizers, we call those reading essentials, is one of those. A science notebook to help guide the kids in their note-taking would be some of those things in the literacy component of special education. Within the roster, we can set things within McGraw-Hill's roster that allows when a student is taking the test that they will have a calculator accessible to them automatically if it's in their IEP or in their 504 plan. Same with the lower Lexile level. We can set that right inside their student accounts. They don't even know they're accessing a lower level content, so they think that they know they're on level with other students. But just providing different literacy components, different lab activities, those actively learn can also go down even into lower Lexile levels as well, down to 2nd or 3rd grade. So our kids are getting access points for all of that.
Thank you, and technology is awesome.
Thank you. I'm Heidi Anderson. I'm part of the partnership here. One of the other investment pieces is the Library of Actively Learn, and it goes from the 3rd grade through 12th, and every teacher will have access to the complete series. So when we're working in a classroom where we want to offer flexible options for teachers to meet their students where they are, to engage them with deep conversation, great literacy skills, and the idea of revealing their thinking, we find Actively Learn could be a nice assortment for that because it gives a lot of choice both to the student and to the instructor in order to bring those students into the conversation, because it's engaging and it's we want to know what they're thinking and really preparing them for what their next journey is.
Thank you.
Holding my phone, it's only because I was quickly writing down some notes so I don't forget anything while I'm up here. So there are embedded teacher supports in the physical teacher edition and the online teacher edition that gives suggested tips and tricks and help for the teachers. Also, all support staff and all teachers get access digitally, so your special ed teachers can access the curriculum. They can pull from other grade levels if they do need to. There are language routines built in. The sentence starters are great for that also. And then there are online leveled readers. And the online leveled readers can be read aloud if you do assign it out to students and they've got headphones or they're in the corner of a room or somewhere in a small group. And then that wraps it up. That's my list.
Thank you, appreciate it. And that is, I guess, the one really good thing that we didn't have when I was younger, the ability to get a textbook and lower the grade level of, and there's some things that are very positive about having that technology available now. So thank you.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself, what folks have said. Thank you. Appreciate everyone on the team, our partners. This is awesome. And I think if there's no other comments or questions, I think we're ready to call a vote. Starting with Director Stevens.
Stevens, aye.
Grimmer Jerson, aye.
Franklin, aye.
Selena Lopez, aye. Is Director Ender and Wynn on the call still?
Ender, aye. Wynn, aye.
All right, awesome. We have science curriculum. Yay. Thanks, y'all. Thank you so much. Okay. And thanks everyone for being flexible. I know we're ahead of schedule, which is, oh, just kidding. Now we're back on. You're right. You're right. Just maybe a little behind, but we're doing great. So thank you so much. Now that we've adopted a new science curriculum, we're going to go on to our consent agenda, which is another action item.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any questions, comments, concerns? All righty. Call to vote, starting with Ender and Wynn on the online.
Ender, aye. Wynn, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Grimmer Jerson, aye.
Franklin, aye.
And Selena Lopez, aye. Thank you, everyone. The motion passes. And now I pass it on to our superintendent, Ken Richardson.
You bet. Thank you so much. And although I'd love to just say great and not report, there's definitely some things I want to focus on tonight, but I will be brief. I will keep us on schedule, I promise. But there's a couple heavy topics that I definitely want to cover and talk about, make sure we're aware of. Jose brought up a little earlier, but definitely as a group, I want to make sure we're aware of. Then there's some gratitude I'd like to share tonight, and then finally celebrations. It's that time of year. So first I'm going to start with the little bit heavier topic, and I want to start and recognize and thank our board for adopting our budget committee for approving a budget, and we have a budget that is balanced, that provides services for our kids. You heard our union president, Stephanie, talk about, yes, great, we have money, yes, great, we have 11.36, but is it enough? And we are still having that conversation, we're still advocating, and the reality is although we're very thankful of the work that gets CSL where it needs to be to start the conversation, it is still more of a floor than a ceiling, and that's conversations that we need to recognize. And just recognize in our community that we have staff and reductions both in the license, the classified, and the administrative. We've had staff members, family members, community members that have received reduction in force notices. So that is very heavy, not something that we take lightly, although the reality is I'm proud of the work that this board and the committee did around budget. I'm still very sad and unfortunately frustrated that we are talking reductions. With all that said, we got some news today. As many of you already know, the Ways and Means Education Subcommittee voted to move forward with the ODE budget. There's some things in there that I would say are I don't know if positive is the right word, but they're definitely not negative, which is good. For example, the SIA, we were getting communicated out of the SSA was going to get reduced, and we were very worried about that. It did come across with reductions to fund it at 50% instead of 53%, but because of a lot of our lobbying, many of you at the table helped with this as well, ultimately they did choose to use half of the 200 million reserve, so 100 million reserve, they're backfilling in, so that SIA, although there are some reductions, they aren't as deep, and we're going to be able to move forward, I think, within our budget in a positive light. We also saw the high school success was kept whole, which is great news. We saw the hunger-free school. The budget secures $127 million intended to fund free breakfast and lunch for every Oregon public school. Very excited about that. So again, there's some good things that came out of it. But the reality is we also know that there's cuts. Outdoor school program specifically has seen significant cuts. The legislature consolidated the budget for the student success plans, which really that funds all of our CBOs or most of our CBOs work. So they're going from a $42.9 million to $20 million. So the reality of, the partnerships we have in our district, that all that they bring to our table, I haven't even had the conversations what that's going to look like, but we will see impacts in our district from that. Also, the last one, just the reality, Jose, you did realize that, recognize that. Tay and I had multiple conversations to get today, but right now it's eliminated funding for Grow Your Own, not reduced funding for Grow Your Own, but eliminated funding for Grow Your Own. So I have a meeting tomorrow with COSA. I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot more. I know Tay's had her ear in the ground and trying to figure out, okay, how do we advocate? How do we make sure our voice is heard around this? But that is real.
What was the line item dollar amount for Grow Your Own in the state? Do you know?
No, I don't know.
I don't know it at the state level.
20
I know
million?
what we receive, but
Okay, I'm just.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes, but I do not know, but I can look that up. So the reality is again, we're moving forward. There are some things that are good news. There's still a lot of work to do, and there's still a lot of concerns I didn't even reflect on or have a conversation around our federal budget and the federal title funds and what's happening there, and the 25 number where we're at. We understand where we're at. We think we can navigate that, although there's still some wild cards. But the 26 federal budget, we're very concerned about, and so is the state in general, not just for education, but all of the programs through the state. So there are worries there. I don't want to focus on the negative, but I think we have to be realistic and understand what we might be facing and what's coming our way, and we will continue to work together to navigate that and advocate and hopefully make an impact. So. With that said, budget side update, just now a little bit of gratitude. Want to recognize today's last day for students. We've heard it a couple times. We heard some sigh of release. We heard some laughter. We heard joy. We got some principals in the office, audience. We have some classified. We have a future board member. We have a lot of different individuals, but ultimately just celebrating last day for our students and community. And just want to say thank you to our students and community for a great year, an amazing year. A lot of challenges, a lot of successes, as within every year, but we're wrapping it up and moving forward and planning for next year already. Thank you. I want to reach out. This one's a little heavier as well, but it also thank you to our staff, our students, our families. Monday was a hot day, very hot day. And I know that we had a lot of questions around that. We tried to navigate that together, but I can tell you that there were some hot classrooms. I can tell you there were some hot bus rides. And you're going to hear a little bit later about our heat illness plan and kind of the reality of that. You'll notice that we didn't make that an action item, and we did that on purpose. We want to make sure the board's aware of it and understand it, but we didn't do an action item so we can be a little more flexible. For example, after Monday, we didn't have specific feedback on the illness plan yet. And after Monday, we do. In fact, we got an email from the union president kind of saying, hey, after reviewing this plan, we just saw Monday, what about? So it helps us pivot a little bit. Obviously, anytime can bring in if you want to take action on them, but I think it's more like our staff handbook, some of those things that the board doesn't necessarily do actual action on, but I want you aware of it because there are keys in there and triggers in there that ultimately when we'll close school. And again, I'm jumping ahead and Pat will talk about that. We'll answer questions there. But thank you to our staff, our students, our community for navigating that. And then just the flexibility altogether. the last big thank you, other than a tremendous year, an amazing year, is we're going into another summer bond work. So added level of stress around closing down a classroom, going away for the summer. A lot of our teachers just did that extra effort to pack up their classrooms, make sure their schools are ready. Some of you walking in probably saw we've already started, right? I mean, students' last day today, and you'll see that courtyard tore up. You'll see some walls already moving, so it's going. So I would just want to appreciate all of our staff that leaned in and did extra work related to that. And then finally, the celebration. Many of you were at the stage, but what a joyful event! Two specific events. 571 graduates overall this year. Very excited, and this group knows that we'll have more this summer, so very excited. But the reality, 525 walked across the stage at the Child Center for graduation last Thursday, and we had 46 at Fur Ridge, and just amazing experiences, both of those. Finally, 98 students were impacted by access to DDOA. So the reality of those graduations, I just want to celebrate again, not just our high schools, which I do want to say thank you to our high schools, but really we're a pre-K-12 system. So every teacher, 3rd grade, 8th grade, 6th grade, whatever it may be, they're part of that 571 walking across the stage. So a tremendous celebration and tremendous thank you. And that's my superintendent report for tonight.
Thank you, Ken. Always give us a lot to think about. A lot going on. Going from our superintendent report to board policy first read. I know Juan, Althea are online. I don't know, Jose, if you want to start or, yeah.
OSBA sent us AI stuff for policy. What we did is we looked over, Althea and I, but then more importantly, we sent it to, we got an AI presentation from our teachers not too long ago. So we sent it to them because they're the ones that have been actively working on this, not checking with them felt wrong. So they came back and gave us edits and told us the things that we needed to do. And then Lori, as awesome as Lori is, sent it to OSBA, and now we have what's in front of us. So just so you know that this has been vetted through our teachers to be what is good for us.
That rarely happens. Thank you.
It should happen with everything.
Yeah.
And students.
And I know we still have, time to look at it closer. I mean, it's first read, so we're not voting on it today. And so, if folks have any questions or any concerns about it, we still have until next time. So I don't know if there's any further discussion on this item right now. Yeah, all right. Thank you, Jose. I don't know, Althea or Wow, do you want to add anything?
Nothing more from my end.
Thank you.
No, I'm good.
Thank you. All right. Well, talking about that illness prevention plan, I'll pass it to you, Pat, to talk more about that.
Sure. So we brought this, the initial draft to you last month and said we would bring it back this month. So bringing to your attention, for the most part, the school closure consideration. And just to make a note there, it's where the heat index is at 105 for more than 3 hours, or between 91 and 103 for 3 consecutive days or more. And so just making sure everybody realizes the heat index is a combination of the humidity as well as the temperature. So while it might be hot, it may be dry, so it may not actually reach those parameters. Do you have a comment, Kim?
I do. I don't need to interrupt you.
Oh. And so, as you read through the plan, it talks about things we do, including like transportation. As we know, or as we've seen, many of our buses are not air conditioned. We do look for that as we purchase new ones, so that's going to be a phase out over time. So we do our best by opening those windows. They do get toasty, but for transportation, that's about the best we can do. For as far as rooms, reminder, we are doing air conditioning at some of the schools. I'm gonna slide something in here. So with our PSEF grant, we were initially thinking we would be able to do more schools. With the requirements of PSEF going to all electric and there's the escalation in construction costs, I don't think we're gonna get as many schools done as we had hoped. So we will still continue to look for funds and ways to do that, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to spread as far as I want it to. Other things, were there any questions on the plan itself?
Well, I have a question on the PSEF. Are PSEF funds for that limited? Like, can we apply again in the future to do more schools, or how does that work?
So we can apply in the future. This time we applied as a consortium with other districts. We did, I think, 3 different levels of funding in the request, and they funded something totally different that was in between. So we're still waiting for a grant agreement. We're still waiting on what the final dollar amount is. I think it's somewhere around 17 million. PSEF has come back. I was in a meeting this week. They've come back and said, well, you need to have a staff member, MESD, that's going to oversee all of this. So that has to come out of those funds over the next 5 years. They've just done some little carve outs. They're doing some additional reporting requirements. And so we're all kind of waiting to see what that grant agreement says and, you know, how it will be allocated. So.
I'm curious, how are we going to decide on what schools are going to get the improvements?
So right now we're looking at what schools are on the docket as far as their HVAC equipment, the age, the need for replacement, also where they're at in line on the construction schedule. So we have the green energy requirements when we spend more than $5 million, so that eats away at those funds. So we're kind of looking at, I think we've got 4 schools lined up. We did the CMGC request for those, but right now they're all on hold until we actually see that grant agreement and determine how much can we afford to continue. So that's kind of how we're picking the schools. We're looking at if we put solar in, usually that's a rooftop installation. Where's the roof at in its lifespan? Are we going to have to replace that? So that's a consideration at Earl Boyles. Do we need to do the entire roof? How much roof do we need to do? So those are kind of the considerations.
So it sounds like it hasn't been decided what the schools are.
We've looked at 4. So we've got Mill right now is on the first grant. We've got Lincoln, Gilbert Park, Earl Boyles, I think are the others that we're looking at.
But it's like until the entire district is cool, this is going to apply to everyone, regardless of whether they have air conditioning.
Yes. So our intention.
You're not going to just close part of the school. So it's like we're all going to be beholden to the heat until.
Yeah.
You know,
although we could.
Hell freezes over.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's late.
No. So 2 things I wanted to add. One is this for closures, right? This is like we don't show up to school. There's also an index in there that has to do with early release, because the reality is showing up for school. There's, you know, it doesn't get hot till later in the day. If we can get the buildings vented right when you start the day, it'll still be warm. Don't get me wrong. If it's at these thresholds, school's closed. But there are other thresholds in there that show kind of more of an early release, like we're out at 1 or we're out at 2 or we're out at 12 before the heat of the day hits, for lack of a better term. So that's the other part of this plan I wanted to flag. On top of that, yes, Stephanie, we've talked about the reality, especially right now, that you know, if we close, we're probably closing for everyone. But in the plan, it does say, you know, except for air conditioners. So we're trying to be clear there. At some point when we get enough threshold, I don't know that we'll wait for the whole district. There might be a threshold amount where we start saying, well, these are air conditioned, and we haven't made that decision yet. We'll probably include the board in that conversation, because there is a little bit at some point. We have 6 elementary that are air conditioning. Do we stay open? Do we not? What does that look like? The other conversation we have is if it's bad, if we do have weeks of heat type of events, if you will, reminder for every day that's closed, that goes against our Division 22, and then there's a possibility in the conversation about making up time at the end of the year. So all of that factors in the place. Yeah, exactly. And then you have the winter. So it's all plays in, and all things that we have to navigate together with our partners, with our families, but it's something that we're looking to and trying to learn from. Yeah, Jose.
Are there like, because I know some parts of the buildings heat up faster than others, and some, even when we are not at these thresholds, are too hot, like certain classrooms, certain spaces. Do we have plans just to like for them to make sure they're?
So part of the plan in general, and that's where we need to get better. That's where some of the questions came. Again, this plan, we're just kind of rolling out, and then we had a hot day. So we're trying to do it, but over the summer, kind of implementing how do we roll this out in the fall, a lot more communication, a lot more tools, a lot more this is how it happens. Families realize that there could be early release through communication, how we communicate it better. But to get to your question, yes, there's plans that say second story floors, for example. How do you access the cafeteria? How do you access the library? How do you access air conditioned spaces that might be in the building? How do you access shaded areas? What is the process? There's hotter wings, there's south facing classrooms, knowing those classrooms that, hey, teacher, at any time you can take kids out and go to the cafeteria, go to other spaces, but we don't have that dialed in yet to kind of say this are all the places you can be and how. So our staff are asking about that. Okay, it says that in the plan, but what does that look like? How do you help us navigate that? But it is called out in the plan that yes, there are cooler places in every building. So how do you access this? How do you come together and use those spaces? And how do we identify those for our teachers? Yeah.
Sorry, just another question, thinking about like telling temperatures within the building, because mentioning like certain parts might be cooler or hotter. So then how does that, like who is taking the temperature every day? Who's like making that report and deciding, oh, it's been over 100 degrees for 2 days, you know, like in each school, like who?
Yeah.
There's that responsibility.
You bet. So the biggest, well, ultimately the responsibility is mine, but with Pat, we're partnering, and then our principals, and then our staff. But all of our I shouldn't say all, most of our classrooms have thermostats in them, and most of those can actually be accessed remotely. So Lance Schweitzer is our operations manager. For example, this Monday, Sunday night, or whatever date it was, I'm on the phone with him talking. He can access kind of where are the hot spots, where's it at. So in the old days, we used to have to give custodians go to the rooms and do this. We can do it all remotely, although you know, there are still thermometers, there's different tools, different things, but so we can measure that, look for hot spots. We look for teachers to report, principals to report, hey, did you know this? I reached out to Lance, hey, have you seen this and tracked this? Where are we at? Kind of going through that process. So we in fact, one thing that was brought to our attention was a neighboring school district has some sort of tool possibly that they use within the schools that I don't know about. So we'll be reaching out to find out if that's accurate and true or not. So yeah, those are all things. But technically the thermostats, you know, the old low key or whatever term I'm supposed to use here, literally staff have taken pictures of, look, this is my, in text, here it is, right? But remotely our operations manager can get on and look at that as well.
Yeah, so there is a heat index stress app, and so we start there with the outdoor temp and where are we at, and then we look at the individual rooms, and then we do actually are getting the little gadget, and so it'll probably be between our facilities manager and then if we get the safety and security position hired. So.
Wow, technology, all the things I could do. Is there any more questions, comments? Awesome. Althea or Juan, did you have anything?
Nope, I don't.
Okay. Thank you. I just always want to check with, because I don't want to forget y'all are online. Thank you so much, Pat. And, you know, have to give you the floor again because we're talking about bond update.
So right now, most of the projects are going along fairly well. CTE Center, we're getting quotes for the ambulance simulator.
Construction's going well, and we're also looking at some automotive lifts for the auto shop. High school renovations, we've got lighting being installed, as we mentioned before, pretty much everywhere. People are packing up and trying to get things ready for folks. The new pool bleachers did arrive, so they're actually being stored in the old pool. Surprise. And so we're hoping to get that wrapped up. Gilbert Heights, Alice Ott, Gilbert Park, so that's last summer's project. We're still waiting on some final invoicing. The architect still needs to finalize some drawings, record drawings for us. Cherry Park. So we are still working with the commissioning agent on reviewing the systems, ensuring they're working. We're really trying to get this finalized. We anticipate the end of June, pending any more bumps. So we did have a little bump earlier in the week. The contractor's CCB license was pulled, and it was reinstated. So we were like, so we're moving along on that. Mill Park, just a reminder, that's over 2 summers. Our permit is issued, but it's interesting because when it was reviewed, there was not a call out for tree protection or tree inspection. And then the plan reviewer went, whoops, I missed that there was arborist reports. And so we're trying to get that back online. We don't anticipate any issues at this point because we're not far along enough to need any inspections. So we're hoping they promised that they would bring that to the top of their stack. So we're hoping. For Ridge is one that we do have a notification that we have a delay. So there's some interior doors that my understanding were required as part of the permit and the conditions to bring the bathroom in compliance. Yeah, so I'm still navigating that one, really. We don't expect those until about the first or second week of September. So we were notified of that this week. I am trying to work with them on really, do we need these? Is there not something else we can do? So South Powellhurst, that's just a lot of fun. I got text messages from Paula right before the board meeting go, phew, it was a long day. So they're moving everybody out into portables on the lot and trying to navigate who's in what portable and who's going to be in the mechanic shop in the back area where there's a little office. And so having a lot of fun with that. We did get a notification from PGE that they're going to be installing a new vault. I think that's at Floyd Light. So that is not related to our project at all. So you'll be seeing another easement request most likely. I just got copied on an email perchance. West Powellhurst so far is going as planned. Bond Oversight Committee meets next month and will come to you in August. And then we do plan to do another little tour in August with the committee. Questions?
Not hearing any. Thank you, Pat. I appreciate the updates. Exciting changes this summer. Now we're getting to the end of our agenda. Moving on to reflections and public comment. I don't know if anyone wants to get started.
Well, I am looking forward to the reschedule of your team's hard work on the alignment of the tag and the tag material, the workshop that got pushed. So, yeah, because I think I have a lot of questions around this conversation around challenging academics, especially at the middle school level, because it feels like a conversation that's happening in all of the middle schools. I'm hearing about it, and so I'm just looking forward to when our new board members join and we have time to dig in a little deeper on those main topics, the the challenge issues and the and tag and alignment with high school changes and all of those things.
Yeah, and along with that, understanding it well enough to be able to communicate it well, because I think part of it is that some of the parents don't understand and they don't know what is happening, so they think nothing's happening. So we just need to understand the process enough to be able to explain it when someone asks. So yes.
Yes, sorry.
My comment was directed at you. I'm like, wait, they're talking.
Oh, yeah.
Would you be willing to meet with that one parent? Thank you. Yes, thank you.
I think the other thing that I wanted to really, I guess in the sense of celebrations in the school, just really wanted to emphasize my gratitude and appreciation for you, President Myrie. I really just, I can't say enough, and I feel like, you've set such a huge precedent for your leadership. I think we've mentioned, especially when staff and teachers would come and talk about their experiences, what they wanted to bring. I mean, that's something that I don't think we've seen in the past from my knowledge. And so just, the organizer in me appreciates the one in yours. And I just wanted to say again how much I appreciate your leadership and what an honor it has been to work alongside you in this position as long as I've been on the board so far. So I really just, a lot of appreciation to you.
I want to echo that too. I really appreciate your communication skills with us and, really holding, firm, even when things are tough, and when they're good too, but just the willingness to get in the weeds, to talk, to, figure things out. And I'm really grateful for everything you bring to the district and will continue to. Going back into the classroom kind of makes me excited for your 5th graders. So thank you for everything.
Yeah, and I wasn't kidding when I said I want teachers to keep coming and telling us stuff, because it's great. I love it. I hope they keep doing it, and I'm going to try to get students to do it. I know that's going to be harder, but I hope we see that more. I've been spoiled because I came in as a board member when that was happening, so that's all I've seen, right? So I don't want it to go away.
I've really appreciated the way that it has changed the relationship, I think, between board members and the educators. That, we get a lot of time with the administrators, and unless we go out into the buildings, we don't, or we have kids there or something, we don't really get a chance to talk to educators. But I feel like since the open bargaining process, I've had folks come up and talk about things to me, and they know that it's a safe place. I'm not going to go and, it's information. They're giving me information that's helpful, that makes me want to learn more and ask for different perspectives. And I think that has been changed because of you. I think the educators feel more emboldened to speak their truth. And I also want to say thank you to the administration for that as well, because there are a lot of school districts where the admin really says, listen, your job is here, and that's it. And so I just want to thank you for your willingness to allow us to be like, hey, you have the keys to the kingdom. You have a badge that'll get you in any building. Go and talk to the principals. Go and talk to the educators, the staff. And so I just love that about Douglas. And I think it's really, really changed in the past year. Even better. It was good before, but it's even better.
Okay, I just want to jump in because everything you're saying I want to echo about Stephanie, and I'll get the opportunity to ambush her classroom a couple times next year. But the one thing I want to say, I think you all know this and recognize this, there's not a bigger champion for the David Douglas School District as well, right? I mean, I know she mentioned sometimes we sit at the table and sometimes we have different things that we're navigating together. But ultimately, I know without a doubt, talking about her heart bleeding David Douglas, she believes in David Douglas. She believes in this community, has a long history in this community that she could talk about. And that comes through every time you talk to her and work with her. So I just want to add that little piece as well to recognize it. So thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you. I was, it's hard to move on from appreciating Stephanie, but I do have something in my mind, and I know that a lot of people in our community are experiencing a lot of different feelings, but I know that there's a lot of fear in the community about ICE being in schools, ICE being in their community. There have been reports of ICE being in different spaces, some of them not validated, some of them, yeah. And I would just want to ask folks, if there's ways that you can support. I know people have been offering to get groceries for people or different things, picking up kids from schools, if they know each other, like all these things. Obviously school's over, so maybe not that one, but looking at validated sources and not spreading fear. I think it's a huge thing because it is really scary. Making sure that if you see something, report it to, trusted sources. I think Portland Immigrant, forgetting the name, Portland Immigrant. I'll think about it and then maybe I'll send it to you, Lori. Is it IRC or PERC? Oh yeah. I see them on like Instagram, and I think they have a Facebook too, but they're pretty legitimate source. There's also LULAC, there's also ACLU, and rely on legitimate sources, not spreading fear, but also helping your neighbor, helping your friends who are having a hard time, and reporting anytime you see something and you have the right to record an incident, for example, a lot in and helping in that way too. So just wanted to voice that for community.
Yeah, thank you, Gabby, for bringing that up. That's important. I feel like I've been talking a lot today, but I'll be remiss if I didn't say something about it's easy to forget how far we've come in such a short period of time, because hearing a teacher say that, oh, I came into this district in 2006 and none of the teachers were out. As a gay person that has adopted a little boy, knowing there's multiple queer people on this board, I don't think I'd even be up here if our district didn't treat people the way it does. So, yeah.
All right. Going on for board liaison and committee reports. If anyone has any, I don't think I have anything to report this month. Right on, and we are we're ahead of schedule, and there was one other business item. Should we get into it? Which is the approval of division annex rental agreement adjustment, which would be an action item.
Yes, so earlier this week I got a request and the amendment attached regarding our current rental agreement for the annex, which we have decided not to renew. If you don't recall, we had an option to purchase in there, and so they were a little nervous because they had some folks who were interested, but then they were like, well, if the district's going to purchase it, we don't really want to deal with that. So I think they're debating about selling or renting, and so I'm assuming that you probably will be okay with that, but we wanted to bring that to you and get your approval so that we could move ahead, do what we need to do with other attorneys, and then get that signed off.
I'd like to move approval of that release and for you to do it.
I second.
Thank you. It's moved and second. Any questions, comments, concerns about this? Awesome. Althea and Hua, if you're still online, would you like to start with your vote, please?
Ender, aye.
And then I think maybe Hua is not able to answer right now, so we'll move to Stevens.
Stevens, aye.
Governor Justin, aye.
Franklin, aye.
Saldaña Lopez, aye. And it has been so moved. And that concludes our June board meeting. Thank you all for staying till the very end. Thank you.
Okay, we're adjourned. I need 5 more seconds. I apologize. Okay, first, number 1, we have an individual at this table who So wishing nothing but the best and everything you've done, really appreciate it. And then the second one, I'm being
Happy birthday to you.